Okay, I'm going to talk again about a difficult subject for many people, and that is, let's call it gender identity, sexual orientation. And again, it's a difficult subject. Why? Well, there's still, I just saw it the other day. I just saw it the other day. A person who is gay went to talk with somebody new that they met, and the person said, I don't want to hang out with you, I'm straight. Is it, what is it? These were young people. Both of them are under 25. It's still a huge issue. What is the biggest part of the issue? The biggest part of the issue is fear. What underlies the fear? Um, I'm going to be ostracized, which is a word meaning I'm going to be excluded. Or, once I'm seen hanging out with, then I'm going to be somehow tainted by that. And other people are going to say, you're tainted, which means you can never be clean again. And this is still a huge problem. And it's not going away. And I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to tell you this, other than to just straight out come out with it. Pretty much, alternative sexualities were forbidden. In countries that originated from the British Empire, um, it was illegal to be anything but straight. Illegal, in other words, criminal, for you to be anything but straight. And in my country, Canada, these laws didn't start changing until 1967. And what would it mean if you were not straight? Well, if your employer found out about it, they could fire you. And there was no human rights tribunals that you could appeal to. So maybe, you were born after 2000 and you're watching this as a young person. But I'm going to tell you, 1967 wasn't very long ago in the grand scheme of human history. And we're still told that there are certain countries on the planet where it's still illegal to be anything but straight. And some of the penalties for this are the death penalty. So, I have a huge issue with this on planet Earth. What is this going to? It's just the country's culture. The Muslim countries, let's say, because, some of these countries like Saudi Arabia or maybe Malaysia are Muslim majority countries where the Muslim religion has a lot of influence. Or it might be Poland, where the Roman Catholic Church has a huge influence. In my mind, these things are a reason to topple the cultures of Poland and the cultures of Saudi Arabia and Malaysia. What I mean by topple, I mean topple them. I mean, all of this stuff needs to be cleaned. I don't say, it's Saudi Arabia, they're allowed to have laws like this because they're an independent country, because that's the way things are on the planet today. It's the country's sovereign right to make their own laws and have their own internal affairs. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this. If it was up to me, well, how far would I go? How easy is it to change people's minds? I mean, changing governments, government systems. But what about the hearts and minds of the people in these countries? Do they subscribe to these beliefs? Is it a majority belief or a minority belief? And, a lot of people that hold these beliefs are going to be willing to fight for these beliefs, because we see it even in Western countries. Still, in the United States, there's still all kinds of movements to reverse the progress that non-straight people have made. We are a very primitive species, human beings, very, very primitive. And we have a lot of work to do. And where are you going to do your work? Because, when you've got old senators in the U.S. Senate who are racist still, and they are homophobic, and they're in positions of power, it's pretty hard to fight to change these things. So I'm just going to table this as a world issue. And I'm also going to table the documents of Eleanor Roosevelt, who was the First Lady of America during World War II. And after World War II, she went on to help found the United Nations and set up what are the basic rights of humans on planet Earth. And these human rights from, I don't know, around 1950, she was doing this kind of work. 70 years later, these rights are not even taught in schools. Because when I went through school, we didn't know nothing about universal declarations of human rights. And we didn't talk about the United Nations, and we didn't talk about Eleanor Roosevelt. But the countries of the world did sign on to these things. And then they were shelved and ignored. And a lot of the laws that are on the books in countries around the world are not in harmony with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And even today, the border closures due to COVID-19 are preventing free travel by humans around the globe, which is contrary to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So we've got governments, all of the governments, who are in violation. Who's going to enforce the Universal Declarations of Human Rights? And I mean, this was 1950s, and there's still things in there that they didn't add in. That modern day, if we were going to go and review this, we would say, we've come a long way from 1950, and there's a lot of other things in here that need to be in here. And the criminals who are in power around the world, and I do call them criminals because that's what they are, they have no interest in human rights. They only have interest in suppressing people and getting rich and living the good life and making sure that everyone else has a shitty time. And that's why they're criminals. And they are running all of the governments on the planet, and they have been all throughout Earth's history. There's no good guys. So once again, I'm going to table this. And as far as this problem, that problem being, I'm straight and I don't want to hang out with you because you just told me you're gay. I'm going to table that too. Because this is a gross failure in 2020 to hear these things. And what's the underlying reason? The underlying reason is I don't want to be seen as hanging out with a gay because it means I'm gay. And the gay person is going, well, they might. They might say you're cute, and just like you might do with, if you're a man with a woman, if you're straight. You might hazard to see if she's willing to, neck or something. We have got deeply rooted ideas about sexual orientations and gender identities that are pretty much cultural, and they're inherited, and they're enforced by fear. This is low vibrational shit. And I know there's plenty of people who are open-minded, and there's plenty of mind that are not. And it's ugly. So on planet Earth in 2020, if I was going to give the planet, which is the humans on the planet, a report card, do they pass? Are we better off in 2020 than we were, I don't know, 50 years ago? The answer is I don't think so. I still say Mr. Alex Jones is on the right track when he says Earth is known as prison planet. Because that's the way the individual humans on the planet are treated. Prisoners. Prisoners, this is what you have to do. You have got to work as enslaved people for enormous corporations. And they're going to dictate the terms of how humans are going to act, how they're going to be educated, and how they're going to be marketed to. And a lot of these religions that are used to justify hating other people because the religion says it's wrong. John Lennon said a long time ago, he pointed at religion as being a huge cesspool of hatred. And I've already told you, Catholicism and Islam are two glaring examples of disgusting religions. Disgusting. But, many countries, religious rights are enshrined in constitutions. You have the right to your religion and its racist or homophobic beliefs. And, we still hear it in the United States, in certain states, like you've got a business and you've got something against gay people. Well, you don't have to serve them. Why are these fights going on in the courts in 2020? It's going on because all of this hatred is still going on, and it is legitimized by being enshrined in constitutions, your right to have your religion, which is all about hating other people. So I'm going to have to tell you, we have to start fresh, because all the existing constitutions that were handed down to us from hundreds of years ago are based in hatred and inequality and entrenching the rights of the powers that be. And those powers that be, sometimes they're called like the 1%. And once I table all this stuff, then what? Well, there's a famous song from the late 60s by Alvin Lee. And the song is, I'd like to change the world, but I don't know what to do, so I leave it up to you. Well, I'm not leaving it totally up to you. I'm tabling these issues. They're up here for looking at, sniffing at, and then it is up to you to decide what you personally are going to do about it in your little world.